Okay, it's Dave here again with my wife Cathy.
Hello.
We are sort of in the middle of a binge of the HBO show The Night Of. We've just watched 6 episodes in the last 12 hours.
So we needed to leave the house, basically.
Yeah, we were in danger of just doing the whole thing, and it's very, very good. So we're not going to review that now. Maybe when we're finished.
Addictive,
but it's
very
excellent.
long. So we were 6 hours, which is 6 episodes has been about 6.5 hours, 7 hours.
We did 4 last night and 2 this morning. So we were like, geez, we need a break from sitting in a dark room watching TV, so we're going to go to the cinema.
Yeah.
To see Sausage Party, because that's kind of the only thing that's on that's half worth seeing. I'm not even really bothered with this.
I haven't even seen a trailer, actually.
Oh, really?
But I looked it up on IMDb, it has a good rating, and I looked up the duration, which is 90 minutes, so therefore I was pretty much sold.
I've seen the trailer. I mean, people are kind of losing their shit.
Everyone's saying it's funny
for this, but I don't know. The trailer didn't do it for me. I feel, I'm feeling bad.
Oh, really?
Vibes towards
I'm
this movie.
expecting
good
things.
I don't know why.
Just from the reviews I've heard from friends and just from people on the internet. But like, it's only 90 minutes at the end of the day. It can't be that bad.
It's 90 minutes.
It's not going to be as good as The Night Of.
90-minute comedy.
So we're coming from a very good show, but we needed air and sunlight. So we're going to the cinema.
To a dark room.
Well, we got to walk.
Again, we need
cinema.
stale cinema air.
Yeah.
All right, so see you in a bit.
So Dave, you're not expecting much, and I'm probably expecting too much.
Yes.
But I've not seen a trailer.
Let's meet in the middle.
Okay. Meet in the middle?
Oh.
Also, I'm vegetarian, so I shouldn't even be watching this. Okay, bye.
Hey, Brenda, you and me.
I'm so happy that God's put our packages together.
It's because we belong together.
It's like we were made for each other.
Get ready, boys!
Feels amazing.
Oh, yes. I'm the first to enter eternity.
Oh, potato! Way to go, buddy!
So there I was in the coffee shop next to the cinema buying a treat for Dave and tea for me, and Dave came in telling me the movie wasn't on.
Yeah. So I went up to the desk and I was like, 2 for Sausage
Oh, thanks
Party.
for relaying that part of the...
That's how the conversation
went.
Do you want to be the...
No.
Do you want to be me and I'll
No.
be the... You know,
No.
do some role play here?
No.
So, 2 for Sausage Party. She was like, oh, that's been cancelled.
I've never seen that happen before.
This has never happened in all the years
It's
of going to the cinema.
unprecedented, and we
She's
go
like,
to the cinema a lot.
Yeah, apparently they've replaced it with The Secret Life of Pets.
Which our loyal listeners will know we've already seen.
So I
and
was
not
like,
particularly like.
Why? She said, I don't know, managers just told us to do it. She said, the staff in our cinema are particularly terrible, I think. Like, why didn't
I'd say
you
the
ask?
manager's just a total wiener.
Oh, stop.
All right.
What is up with you with the bad sausage puns?
So yeah, that's it. We
That's
can't review the movie.
Really fucking annoying, to be honest.
We left our house watching the best show we've seen in months. It serves us right, really.
All right, well, let's discuss what we think the film would have been like. I still think it would have been shit.
I mean, I personally find movies
probably
with Seth
be fine.
Rogen annoying, so
Yeah,
I
I
probably
kind
would
of
have
find
found it
him annoying as well.
I mean, now I'm just giving it a negative review, and it's not really their fault that Odeon Richmond pulled it last minute. I didn't think you could pull it if it was on the website. Clearly, no one had bought a ticket.
I'd say, nobody had bought a ticket.
And we hadn't bought a ticket. We were buying it there.
And it was just, we just arrived at 2:30, so I'd say they just made a call to swap it, maybe.
But what
But then
time was Secret Life of
who's
Pets
going to know
gonna be
about
at?
Secret Life of Pets? Secret Life of Pets was going to be in the same screen at the same time instead of it. Maybe they did it like a half an hour beforehand. And they were like, anyway, it's so...
Maybe there's a chorus of children who were just dying to see the Secret Life of Pets.
Yes,
Which is
there were
also a
lines
really
of
old
children.
movie, and this is a new movie.
Anyway, it sort of indicates that nobody gives a
Yeah,
shit
nobody's
about
going
this
to watch
movie.
it. That's not true, though. I think it's true. I thought it was doing well at the box office.
It did well in the
So
States.
maybe that's in the
I think it
States.
just came out in the UK, so I don't know.
Well,
the
do you know what? It's, as if we've said in the past, the only people who go to our cinema are really old, or else maybe kids. So
yeah, it
Sausage
doesn't
Party's
feel
not
like
the right
the
demo.
right audience around here.
It's a shame we would have had the whole screen to ourselves.
Did you
could
read
have
about-
happily eaten your flapjack?
So don't get a flapjack now. Did you?
Yeah, I put the flapjack back and cancelled the tea order.
Did you read about all the controversy around the animation studio that made this?
Yeah, they weren't paying anyone properly.
Yeah, so nobody was getting overtime. A lot of them left. A lot of the animators left during the course of it because of the bad conditions, and they haven't been given a credit.
Well, you know, I have
In the
insider
movie.
knowledge of this because I worked in a video game company where people weren't getting paid properly and
Are you going
weren't
to name
getting,
it?
No,
You can name it.
I won't
no,
name it.
Well, that's been widely
No, I
publicised.
won't
The
name
video
it.
game company.
They people
Why?
weren't getting.
And it doesn't
no,
exist
I'm not
anymore.
Gonna name it. So,
Name it. Name your source.
people weren't getting paid properly and weren't getting credited, so it doesn't surprise me at all. Because it's a bit like the TV industry, in that they know people are just dying to work as animators, and it's really sad because people who do it are incredibly talented,
Yeah.
and they underpay them and overwork them, and they work, you know, like 14 hours a day, 7 days a week kind of thing, for like really bad wages.
It is sad because this movie was, I guess, famously sort of low budget for an animated film. I don't know the exact.
And that's why.
The exact facts.
It's low
but
budget if you don't budget anything for
yeah,
your animators.
They cut costs massively. It was a Canadian company, as far as I know, and apparently that's the reason they went to Canada, because I guess a lot of the LA animation houses would be a lot better unionized.
Anyway, we need to stop because we're talking about a movie we haven't seen. So I'm just giving it a bad review.
I think it'd be terrible. Well, we're not going to go see it now.
I think it would be good, but it was just 90 minutes for the sake of going to the cinema. I certainly wouldn't go like after work or if I had anything better on.
No.
So this is like kind of a weekend where we were not doing much.
I feel like, though,
Like, we're not in France this weekend.
like, this
sadly.
is for whoever's listening to this now. Like,
Nobody.
what's the point? We haven't actually given
We
any
need to stop
value.
talking. Yeah,
We've nothing to talk about.
nothing to talk
I
about.
wanna-
But we should maybe tweet this at the Odeon Richmond and demand an explanation
Demand
for this
satisfaction.
travesty. Not that we'd paid for the tickets or anything.
Should we challenge them to
Well,
a
and
duel?
the coffee shop should be really upset because they missed out on about £5 of business.
Yeah. So
I've never
everyone's a
said
loser here.
cancel that tea.
You did it with
It
such
was thrilling.
urgency as
Yeah,
well.
I was like, I'm not paying for that tea.
You like shouted it across
Yeah.
the counter.
I actually jumped across the counter and grabbed the cup from his hands as the boiling water was pouring.
It was very exciting.
Anyway, so
what do we do
we will
now? Can we
maintain
go-
our
can we go
opinions.
back?
Can
we go home and finish the night off?
off?
That's all I
Um,
want to do right now.
And we can just maintain our opinion where you thought you probably wouldn't like it, and I
Let's
thought
talk
it might
about
be
that.
funny.
Let's go home and watch that, and then let's come out in a bit for a walk and talk about the night of. Stay tuned.
That's not cinema, though.
I don't care. We need to give the people something. They came here for a sausage party review, and instead they're going to get a blow-by-blow account of one of the best shows on TV at the moment.
Right, baby. Okay, bye.
Bye.
I want to tell you something, and it's the most important thing you'll ever hear in your entire life. Don't talk to anybody anymore. Shut it.
Okay, so for once we're actually leaving our house. We're not leaving the cinema
No.
this time, and we're just going to go for a walk in the park because we just finished the night of.
Yes, and my back is actually sore from 8 hours of solid TV
Yes, good going.
in one day.
Well done, us. Well,
Yes.
it's kind of too, like, it was
Well,
last
there was
night.
sleep
We started
in
last
between,
night.
but in less than 24 hours.
Yeah, it's pretty good going.
Plus,
I
we
must
watched
say.
the Anna
Well
Green
done,
Gables
us.
movie yesterday with Martin Sheen. So we actually watched a lot of TV this weekend.
Don't tell people about that. I'm
And Dave
embarrassed.
cried twice at it.
I cannot believe you ratted me out.
Cried when Anne got her new dress, and you cried
Yeah,
when
but-
Matthew rescued her.
Yeah, but she wanted the dress with the puffy sleeves. And Martin Sheen got the neighbour to make it for her. Okay?
And we don't normally watch this much TV. It's because we had a weekend with no plans for the first time in like months.
Yeah.
And we went the only way we knew how
So we literally went
to
from
binge TV and movies.
we went from Anne of Green Gables straight into the first episode of the night
Yeah.
of. So all right, let's talk about the night of. What we'll do is let's talk generally about our thoughts about it without giving away what happens for anyone who hasn't seen it yet. If you haven't seen it yet, I would recommend going to watch it. Would you do the same?
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
only 8 episodes.
It's only
and
8
it's just
episodes.
finished on
It's
HBO
very,
in the
very
States.
good.
So we watched it on Sky, who have it all on box set.
And so what we'll do is we'll just talk about our general thoughts on it, and then we'll go into a sort of spoiler-filled discussion.
Mm-hmm.
So
So better than Sausage Party.
we'll never know.
It
But
wins by default.
I think we can assume it's better than Sausage Party. So what it is, if you don't know, it's a 8-part HBO series which is following. It follows a murder case essentially. So the first episode is the crime itself happening, and we see it through the eyes of the suspect.
Of the suspect. The accused.
And then the sort of 7 episodes that follow that are all about, I guess it's mostly the show is about the criminal justice system, and it goes in very sort
It
of...
goes from his initial arrest to what happens when charges are brought against someone, how a case is investigated at very kind of minute level, and also what happens if you're waiting and you haven't gotten bail and you're in prison.
It's very detailed, isn't it?
And it ends with the verdict. So the whole series is
it's about
the investigation
6 months
and the
maybe.
trial. Yeah, and we were confused because the first 2 episodes were set over like 2 days, and then we couldn't tell what was happening where at the time. But we digress. We need to give our opinion.
So we should say
overview.
let's give a bit more information. So the sort of the...
Well, I mean, I think at this point anyone who's listening has watched it.
No, I'm explaining what it is. I'm trying to sell it to people.
You've explained
so they
it
can
already.
watch it.
Give your opinion on it.
I was about to say, it stars John Turturro.
Yeah. Who's amazing.
Who's absolutely brilliant in this. He's sort of more of a
It's like a role of a lifetime
character
for him.
actor. He's famous for a lot of Coen Brother movies. He was in a recent Woody Allen film, which he also directed, which I can't even... the
Gigolo?
Fading Gigolo. But other than that, I mean, he's one of those... He's probably, to most people, one of those that guys.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Oh, I know him, but I can't remember what from.
And other than that, not really a lot of name value. But yeah, my opinion, I thought it was really, really gripping, very interesting. You see it from a lot of different people's perspectives. You get a very frank view of the criminal justice system in America, both from sort of the police's point of view, the lawyer's point of view, and the suspect's point of view, and it even shows you the effects, the far-reaching effects that it has on the family members of the suspect, and even the people who sort of get caught up in the maelstrom of this, such as, without going into too much detail, but a car that's involved with the crime doesn't get returned to its actual owners, and it affects their business. And how it affects a certain community. It's the Muslim community at the centre of this. So it's really, I don't know, it's very, it's interesting. It's detailed.
Yeah, so you liked it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess
Okay.
that's what I'm saying. I liked it.
Well, I was intrigued to see it because HBO are such iconic TV makers. You know, they made like The Sopranos, The Wire, which is our favourite show, Sex and the City, which is one of my favourite shows, Game of Thrones, which is obviously amazing, and Looking, which we love, and FYI I just watched the movie of, which is really good. Yeah,
we watched a lot of things.
We watched the Looking movie this weekend as well. Yeah, but the thing with HBO lately is they're turning out a lot of duds. The big one being Vinyl.
You said that in such a strange
They
way.
are though.
You
It's
said it like a regional DJ.
Did I?
Yeah, they're turning out a lot of duds.
Turning out a lot of duds, and including the second season of
True
True
Detective.
Detective, which we couldn't get past the pilot because it was so terrible. But they're turning out a lot of duds, and they're not really getting the talkability that Netflix and Showtime are getting. So it's interesting to see a buzz around this, and everyone was talking about it in the States, and then Sky released it all in one day on Thursday. So we were like, let's just give this a go. And yeah, I thought it was brilliant. It's definitely in the vein of The Wire, including cast members of The Wire, including Omar,
Yes,
who's our
Omar's
favourite.
in it.
Yeah,
Omar
Omar's coming. And the main actor who plays Naz is amazing, and he is in Nightcrawler, which is an amazing movie, and he was a real standout in that, which is hard to do against Jake. How do you say his name? Jake Gyllenhaal. Jake Gyllenhaal, who's so amazing in Nightcrawler, and this guy really held his own. So he's brilliant as playing. So he's the 23-year-old Pakistani son of two immigrants, and he was born in Queens. And I really believed him in the role, though I had loads of issues with his character because he was so annoying.
Which we'll get to.
And I love John Turturro. Is that how you say his name?
Yeah.
It's like a role in a lifetime. Like, he can just die having done that role and just die happy. I mean, he should be winning Emmys for that. And yeah, I thought it was really great, and I thought 8 episodes was a good duration. The first episode was quite long, and the final episode was quite long, so overall it was probably about 10 hours of TV.
Yeah, I think they were like hour and a half each.
Yeah,
the opening and the
it was so. But I have to say, the first episode I found excruciating viewing. Like I was like, I think I need to turn this off because I really struggled to watch really, really dumb protagonists.
Well, let's
there's so much tension in the first episode.
Will we launch into spoilers?
Yeah, we'll launch into spoilers. But if you're struggling with the first episode, keep going because it gets way better.
Okay, so let's talk about that first episode. It was enormously tense.
I felt sick. I couldn't watch it.
I reckon nothing. I don't know the exact point, but I don't think the actual murder takes place until, I would say, an hour into the thing.
Yeah, and you know it's all going so
it's-
wrong.
but-
So Naz is this, clean-looking. We get that he's a diligent student because he's studying, I don't know, maths
What
or
is he
something at the
studying?
start.
Well, he's tutoring.
And he's tutoring somebody from the football team, and he gets invited to this party. Clearly, he's a bit gawkish and
Which we
wants
thought.
to meet girls.
We thought, oh fuck,
Yeah, we thought
something's
the
going to go down at this
happen.
party.
Yeah, at the party.
Didn't
and
even
then
get there.
his friend is supposed to pick him up to bring him to the party, doesn't. But we get a brief glimpse of his home life where he's got very traditional, conservative, loving parents. And he decides, so this is his first mistake of many. He steals his dad's taxi, which is his dad's livelihood. His dad is like the nicest man in the world. His dad co-owns it with two other men, both very hardworking men also. Naz decides to steal that taxi, which maybe you'd forgive him because people maybe borrow their parents' cars and it's not necessarily stealing, and I don't know. Anyway, does that. Then he picks up a girl in the taxi. She thinks he's a taxi driver. He's so dumb he can't figure out how to turn off the on-duty light. He doesn't think to lock the back door to stop people getting in. All the while he's being photographed going across all these bridges and everyone can see what he's doing. Then he picks up the girl. Then he goes to buy her beer. Then she's drinking beer in the car. They stop at the water. He takes ecstasy with her. Then gets back behind the wheel of the stolen car while he's high.
But
And
these
goes
are all,
to her house.
so far, these are all,
Pretty dumb things to do.
they're dumb things, but they're
yeah,
legitimate
he's a
things that
college
a
student.
dumb college student would
Yeah.
do.
Then
I
he gets
felt.
to her house and drinks loads of tequila with her. Then he plays a game with the knife where they stab each other in the hand. Then he snorts ketamine without even knowing what he's taking. And then he wakes up and she's dead. And then he's like, I know what I'll
This is
do.
when the real mistakes begin.
I will run out of the house. Then I'll realise I've left my car keys, so I'll run back, break into the house to wake the neighbours, and I will grab not only my car keys but the knife that I was stabbing her hands with earlier, and also the vial of ketamine. And now I'll drive off again completely high, and I have no time for somebody who'll drive when they're high and drunk because it's a fucking disgraceful
So
thing
this
to
is
do
where
anyway.
we were kind of having
We were just like, I
arguments.
can't watch this show, this guy's so dumb. And I was like, even if he didn't kill her at this point, he fucking deserves to go to prison because he's put himself in the most ludicrous situation with no sense whatsoever, and he's driving completely high with a bloodied knife and
So we
a
had
vial of ketamine.
we had kind of disagreements while we were watching this
Yeah.
at the time because you were, I agree, it was infuriating watching him and it's very frustrating, but
He's just
you
so
you
dumb.
you I still feel like that was totally believable actions for that character. He made every wrong move because he was panicked and scared, and I think I mean you were saying if I was there I would do this, this and this. Has he not seen a police show?
So the thing is, he never seen a police show. His fingerprints are everywhere. His sperm is in her. His blood is everywhere. Like, does he think that he can just leave the scene of the crime?
No,
And
I know.
also smash open her front door.
I'm just saying, rational thinking is
But they
easy
did
for us
establish
while
he
we're
was-
sitting on a couch
Yeah.
watching it.
He was on a lot of drugs. Plus, he had blacked out, so he didn't actually know. That's the interesting bit about the whole show. He never knows if he's done it or not, and we never know either
Yeah.
because he's completely blacked out. And I guess because I've never taken ketamine, I don't know what that feeling is like. But I'm certainly not sympathetic to him because he's an idiot.
So, well, what did you think about when he finally gets into prison?
I thought it was outrageous. So we figured out it was his 4-month space of time. He changed how he spoke. He shaved all his hair off. He got tattoos on his neck. He basically spoke like he could barely articulate sentences. He was emulating everyone around him, and he became really violent and started smoking heroin.
Yeah, I think
I was
that
like, what?
that
And he hadn't
transformation.
even been convicted yet. Like, this is like the holding prison, and it took place over 4 months.
I must
Because at
agree.
one point we were like, wait, has a few years passed? Because this is outrageous. And he's all bulky by the end as well because he works out.
Well, this is the thing, right? It just that transformation felt a little too fast. Breaking Bad.
Yeah, he broke bad and like,
Well, Breaking
First
Bad
month.
took 5 seasons really for that to happen, and it happened very slowly and believably. Well, I use that word loosely, but with Naz, yeah,
here, look,
it
we
was
just sit in this bench.
literally like. How long was he there? Yeah, 4 months in total. I guess. Look,
Omar's very charismatic though.
partly you could explain it by the fact that his character is very, very impressionable.
Yeah, which they established in the pilot. He'll do anything, like
He
any
just does what
drug
he's
is
told.
put in front of him, he'll take it.
Yeah.
Any opinion is expressed, he'll copy it. But to the point where and it was really cool of the actor, like he's a really good actor. he like was emulating like the speech and the actions of people around him, because he's just a sponge, Naz. And I think partially maybe the message was he was raised in such a conservative house and had no exposure socially to people, because he just didn't know how to act around people. Like, why was he smoking heroin? He was in prison 2 months.
Because it was the done
and
thing.
His case hadn't even happened yet. It made no sense.
It was a bad move.
And he kicks someone's head in at one point, like, and practically kills them.
But I guess that was part of what was interesting about him was that he did have a violent streak, and that's why
that was. I like how they gradually revealed his violent streak.
Yes,
that was very clever.
We kind of, when we meet him, he is this very sort of likable, geeky sort of guy, and I think we just assumed that was all there was to him. So when you do find out those things down the line, it sort of adds extra depth to him.
It was
and
good.
I was questioning it from the start. I mean, to be honest, from the start, I was saying to you, I think he did.
Yeah,
do it.
and he's just blacked out.
And I think he just blacked out.
And because then when they do a tox screening, find that he not only has ketamine, ecstasy, but he also has like Adderall, which is like an amphetamine, plus like loads and loads of booze. So they were like he could be doing anything in that concoction.
Do you think he did do it? Because it's sort of an ambiguous ending.
No, I don't think he did it. Because there was no indication at any point that he was violent outside of being provoked, I thought. And there was no indication in his behaviour with her that we saw that he was anything but like idolising her and just wanting to sleep with her. And I think what I loved about it, anyway, we'll get into it, is, I mean, we saw 4 other viable suspects.
Yes.
So I definitely think it was one of those. I hope if they make a season 2 though, it's not that. I mean, it couldn't be. It would be so tedious.
I know. I don't want that. Which was what Broadchurch season 2 made the mistake of. I think season 2, if it happens, should be following John Turturro again.
Yeah, with I've forgotten her name.
New case.
I'd love him and the lawyer to team up again.
But will they? Because they ended on such a bad note. Because she really became.
Yeah, she was the
total
other
idiot.
So she, at the start, we were like, "Oh, she's great. We really like her." She refused. Like, she's used as a prop at the start to gain Naz's parents' trust because she can speak Pakistani, and then she, becomes like his lawyer because John Turturro is given the sack because he's a bit sleazy, and she is great. And then all of a sudden, she's reveals that her and her boyfriend broke up. She starts doing like shots in the bar, which I just thought was really weird. And then she seems to be in love with Naz and kissing him, and then she is smuggling heroin her vagina.
That came out
into prison.
No,
this is a lawyer who's gone and bought heroin on the street corner and smuggled it in.
Just so the reason she was doing that was just so she could have him testify, which had been explicitly stated to her was the worst idea in the world.
So it was of no value anyway.
Yeah.
Certainly not when he's strung out and like crashing from lack of heroin, and he's scratching himself, and he has at this point got a shaved head, is all bulky, and has got tattoos on his neck, and his knuckles say Sinbad.
As soon as he started getting those tattoos,
I was like, why is he getting tattoos? Like, at least wait till you've been convicted and then fine, do what you want.
I'm done.
And also fine if you want to get tattoos, but don't get the word sin and bad written on your fingers and get a tattoo on your neck when you're in court.
It reminded me of The Simpsons when Sideshow Bob is on trial and he's got the words "Die Bart" on on his tattooed on his fingers, and he said, "No, it's German. It's Die Bart." D.
Well, yeah, it's just like, and like, of course, like if Naz is innocent,
but
what he looks like shouldn't matter. But he went out of his way to make himself look rough, and even if he's innocent of the murder, he still robbed his dad's taxi, which has ruined his dad's livelihood and 2 of his friends' livelihood. He has like driven really intoxicated. He's fled the scene of a crime. He could have phoned an ambulance, like the girl mightn't have been dead. He's still guilty, and I think he actually still should be in prison, just not for murder, but for like reckless endangerment.
Yeah.
And like ludicrous behaviour. And he was carrying a bloodstained knife.
But that's
illegal as well.
Can we go back to
It's illegal to carry a weapon.
Yeah, there are some of those charges which could have stuck. And I hate him now at this stage, so I wanted to be in jail.
He's got a blood-stained knife in his pocket, and he's like, oh, no big deal. Oh, and like, okay, back to episode 1. At no point when he was in the police station for like hours was he even smart enough to say, oh, can I go to the bathroom? Because at this point, hadn't been searched. Can I go to the bathroom and wash the fucking blood off his hands and dump the knife somewhere and dump the ketamine vial? Like, he's so dumb that he
I think
sits with that stuff on him.
Really, what this is telling me is how good you would be at getting away with a crime.
Well, like,
So
I
it's-
watched
it's
CSI Miami.
concerning.
I would have basic principles around
He was-
fingerprints and bloodstained murder weapons.
Look, to his credit, and I don't really want to
He has
defend
no
him
credit.
because he's an idiot. But he was trying to sort of edge his way out of the police station. If you remember, he was
Yeah, but
going to make a run
no,
for
but that's
it.
even dumber when he tried to make a run for it. No,
Yeah,
he
I
should
know.
have just ditched the incriminating evidence.
Back to the lawyer though.
Oh.
His lawyer, like that was very underdeveloped. Her sort of infatuation with him. It didn't really. It came out of nowhere.
Did you think it coincided with when he got swag and became a bit sexy? Because he is a really good-looking guy.
You think so? She's attracted to bad
Well,
boys.
I think also she believed he was innocent, and there's something very attractive about somebody whose society has done wrong by, and you're their savior, which is what she saw herself as.
Okay.
So I think.
But I think that's.
But I think it was
the show didn't tell us any of that. That's
No,
you
that
filling
was
in the
me
blanks,
interpreting.
right?
And but I didn't even mind when she kissed him. I mind when she went and hung around the street corner and bought heroin and
Yeah.
smuggled it
Yeah, that
in her
was-
private
that
parts.
was-
It's
that-
ludicrous. It's like
not-
you would be disbarred, you would be sent to prison. Like, that's outrageous behavior.
She deserves to be disbarred.
Yeah, they're both idiots. And even then, before that, when she said I want him to testify, and John Turturro, who's like the best lawyer ever, it was basically a John Grisham novel because he's like the old, hardened, slightly crooked lawyer, and she's like the young whippersnapper who's full of ideals, and he
Yeah.
kind of coaches her in his ways, and he's like, do not put him on the stand. And she's like, oh no, I think he'll be great because I love him. And
She
not
got
only
really
do I think
cocky
he'll
at
be
that
great, I
stage.
think even though he's clearly addicted to heroin, which she realizes afterwards, I'll just get him more heroin to take the edge off.
That's the.
It's like, what?
That took me out of the show. That whole bit. Can we talk about a little bit about John Turturro's
Yes,
character,
he was
Jon
amazing.
Stone?
Oh my
He's
god,
the real standout
yeah,
of the whole thing.
he's the star.
And he's someone
love
who I
him.
think he should be the focus of a second series.
Well, he was first billing on the show in every episode.
Yeah,
He was the star of it because after Ep 1, Naz was always... Naz is just like this mute, slightly idiotic person who just walks around like lifting weights and like smoking heroin and stuff. He was doing nothing. He didn't even really at any point think to logically tell anyone what happened to him that night and mention things that would have helped him.
No, Naz was
like
Naz
the
was-
murder, that the knife he took, which we don't think was the murder weapon, he didn't take it from the bedroom, he took it from the living room. So he should have said, oh, that wasn't even in the living room, the bedroom where she died. But he
Yeah.
was so dumb,
We
he
think
didn't
of
tell
anything.
anyone that.
Naz was just on a roller coaster.
And it's not a show about
It's
it's not a show about, which other shows are about, it's not a show about a marginalised, uneducated person being exploited by the justice system. It's a show about somebody who's had a great background and a good life and gets himself into a dumb situation and then makes no effort to get himself out of it.
Yeah, interestingly, and you're never quite sure whether he is innocent or guilty, and neither is
Because
he.
he doesn't know, which was really
Yeah.
interesting. But yeah, anyway, back to John Turturro. So he's like sleazy lawyer, has got his
He's not really
slogan.
s-
No, like to
sleazy,
look at,
he's-
he is. He's like, you know, I'll represent you. If you ain't free, if you're not
You don't
free,
pay a
you don't
fee.
pay a fee. But the best thing was his eczema storyline. We were so gripped by it.
It was very. I mean,
And I suffer from allergies and asthma, and I was just so sympathetic. Luckily, I don't look like that. But
it was very much like it's something. It felt a little bit at first like, oh, this is the gimmick. They've given the character a gimmick, but it was.
it really
so-
informed his life,
It
didn't
did,
it?
and it was so raw, pun intended,
Literally.
and so human. It just made him so human. It was something.
And his
that was this
escapades every
daily
week.
struggle for him, and it really,
He's
just,
either getting like a UV lamp
really
or
felt
like
for him.
steroids,
Well, I
and then
said-
the Viagra stuff because he was impotent. It's just, do you know what? It was funny. Like that was the stuff that made us laugh. And you need humor, like The
was
Wire
funny, but
always
it was
had
sad
as
as
well.
well.
You
The-
need humor in a show like that, or it's too bleak.
But I actually said to you while we were watching the finale, like, I was so uninvested in the case by that point that I was actually the most important and the best moment of the series for me was when John Turturro was able to put on a pair of shoes.
I know, it was amazing.
That was that whole storyline was more interesting than
Yeah.
the case in many ways,
I
and
loved
also
it.
his relationship with the cat, which was very inside Llewyn Davis.
I was
thought.
thinking that too. It looked
Yeah.
like the cat from Inside Llewyn Davis. But yeah, I think he brought the humor to it. He brought the heart to it, and his closing speech, I was like,
It was
yes,
beautiful.
I
His
applauded. It was amazing.
performance was just outstanding. Like, because he had that.
I think he's sexy as well.
He had that. Okay, he had that right level of sort of.
I want to see what he looks like in real life.
compassionate and practical. Like he's been
Yeah.
through.
And he thinks
he
everyone's
understands the
guilty.
system. He knows how to work it. He is the sort of defense lawyer he does have that Saul Goodman quality where he's defending low life criminals, but he's doing it.
He has a code. And
He
I liked
does
how
have
the
some
the
kind
cop,
of
the lead investigator in the end, had come up with his own theory that Naz hadn't done it, because he finds a fourth very viable suspect. And at that point, the DA, whatever she is, the prosecutor is like, no, look, I'm just going to keep going with this. And he makes a really great point when she's giving her closing statement, and she says, this is the only suspect the police are pursuing. He gets up and walks out because that's all he can do. But he and John Turturro worked together a little bit, that he tried to help him get a mistrial because he didn't believe it either. We were fascinated by the prosecutor. I've never seen her before. She's a very unusual actress.
She had a strange way. She had that Sylvester Stallone way of talking.
Well, I
wonder, is it
I don't know. It was interesting, but she was very good because she was very subtle. In that kind of role, somebody can be really over the top. And what she did really well was get really close to people, which made me very uncomfortable. So, when she was talking to the jury, she was like in their faces. And then when she was interviewing, like, she got Naz perfectly to wrap around himself, but in quite a subtle way. And again, I was like, Naz, you idiot! Like, if you're speaking for your life, and at the end of the question, did you do it? And you're on trial, and you say, I don't know.
But I think he was having,
annoying.
but he didn't know, and she sort of brought out his crisis of conscience.
Yeah, but
cleverly.
don't bring it out in the stand.
Look, I know. Look, it's just in another litany of errors.
And he could have clarified, because I think what he meant partially when he said I don't know was that I don't know if I'm responsible for her death because I know that I should have phoned an ambulance in case she was still alive, and I didn't.
Yeah.
But he didn't clarify that, and his lawyer didn't pull it out of him. But yeah, so basically John Turturro was amazing, and I loved his relationship with the younger lawyer. And also then the victim, I thought she was really great actress as well, because we found her really ambiguous, didn't we? In the first episode, we were like, what's going on with this one?
Yeah, and they
Did
don't focus on her much until sort of towards the end, which is kind of interesting, and it kind of highlighted that the police never really did a proper investigation because they were basically handed so much evidence.
Well, that's to be fair. I mean, if I was a policeman and there was that much evidence, I don't know, would I be investigating another?
But shouldn't you look down every avenue? I mean,
but what other avenue is there? Like, he picks her up in a taxi, is in her house, has the murder weapon, what they think is the murder weapon, in his bag, and like I don't know. I bought that they didn't initially do the investigation. What I didn't buy was that nobody was investigating from his end. Like, until episode 5 or something. Not even John Turturro. Like, nobody was like, oh, let me look into something else. It was really sad because his parents had no money, and they were just so like flabbergasted by the situation. They didn't know what to do.
The parents' storyline was
the parents were amazing, and they were both such good actors.
I really liked that the show, as I said at the beginning, it really showed you all those little details that you don't get in Law and Order, like the taxi being impounded and how it affected his business partners. There's how the community were.
The mom lost her job.
Hating on him, she lost her job.
Oh, one ridiculous coincidence was the dad. We find out that the dad's now working as a takeaway delivery man because he happens to deliver to the lawyer the night that she's prepping her opening statement.
That was
ridiculous.
So stupid.
I don't know why they did that.
It was shot really
nicely. And also at one point
it
was shot really well. We watched last night when we were watching it. We watched it on the projector. It looked amazing. Sadly, today while we were shutting out daylight, it was too bright to watch it on the projector. But yeah, I wish the mom had gotten a few more lines, because I feel like it was such a male show, and except for the female lawyers, I don't know.
Single
and I mean,
female
I know
lawyer.
It's also set in a male prison, so that's partially why. But some of the prison stuff bored me. I'm like, I am sick of watching things set in prisons where like men are raping each other and stabbing each other and all this, and I'm like, I'm not interested in this. I don't want to watch Shawshank Redemption. Like, I just thought it was all so stupid, all the prison stuff, and like they could have probably cut, like, I think 8 episodes was a good length, but like we don't really need to see Naz going into prison and being intimidated. Like, yeah, we get it, you know.
I felt like we'd seen a lot of that.
I've seen it all before.
That wasn't particularly new, but then it is relevant to Naz's experience.
And then at the end, Naz is just a heroin addict. So that's the end of it. Which again was a bit on the nose because it's only 4 months has passed, you know. And I know they're trying to say the criminal justice system fails people, but it actually didn't. He did well to get out with no charges, because actually he should have the Grand Theft Auto charge and the carrying a weapon and driving while drunk charges. So what's, like, after 4 months, what's his problem?
But prison kind of made him a criminal, and it made him a drug addict in a way. It made him violent, even more violent.
But it was interesting because I think part of the whole point of the show was that Naz is just like so weak-willed. He'll just do anything.
Tool?
Like he's a tool for anyone. Like even in the first episode, she's like, "Oh, do you want some tablets?" He's like, "No," and then she's like, "Go on, have one." He's like, "Okay."
And he's like, Naz, I need you to put this heroin in your mouth that's been up this man's mother's vagina. Do you mind? And he does at first say, no, I can't do that. And he says, I'll go on. And he goes, oh, okay then.
Okay, fine.
Let's do it.
Like, and I guess he's just such a malleable character, but it's weird to watch a protagonist like that. You don't normally... And
He's
that's why
really
I think John
frustrating.
Turturro was the protagonist, because Naz couldn't be, because the actor's amazing, and it's to his credit how well he
was
played
brilliant.
it, but the character was so insipid.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was the point. If the point was it's like, oh, this is what happens, just an everyday, like, not particularly bright guy who's a bit academic but not street smart, or is it?
I think that is
was
the
he
point.
supposed- like,
No, I think
what-
the point is
what's
he's
happening?
he's supposed to be a bit of a blank slate everyman, right? He's supposed to be...
But I was like, a blank slate every man
No.
who's never watched an episode of Law and Order.
Okay, look what he is. But he's supposed to be this blank canvas. He's this ball of clay that has just been thrown through the system. Really, what the show is about is about looking at this system, the justice system, as it exists, and we look at it from literally beginning to
Yeah.
end. And we
But
look
the
at...
irony is that it shed a positive light in it in the end because he got off.
But it's not. There's no positive light at the end of that. Did you come away feeling, oh yeah, the system works, go America?
Well, actually,
No.
it ended better than... Well, I would never come away from anything saying go America, but I came away from it thinking, oh, for a HBO show, like
It did
it
not have a
ended
happy
better
ending.
than what I thought. We both thought he was going to get murdered in prison, and then found out to be innocent at the end.
Yeah, but that's different. It could have been a lot worse, but I would not in any way say that was a happy ending.
I don't
it's-
think it was a happy ending, but I just think, like, the real tragedy at the end is Naz, that he's just smoking heroin down the side
But that's
of the
my
river.
point. He's the ball of clay, and he came out the other end of the justice system, and he was moulded into this sort of warped, disfigured, horrible thing.
But he was still kind of nice. Like at the end, he had a nice moment with John Turturro. But he's just so
He's
dull.
changed.
It's unusual to watch such a dull main character, I think. But because of John Turturro and how they wrote him, and
I do
he
think
was
it's
top
purposeful.
billing.
It's
yeah,
purposeful.
it's purposeful. Because if he hadn't been in it, John Turturro and such a funny, interesting main guy, we would have been like, oh, who cares what happens to this guy?
True. Yeah, we did need
He's an
it.
idiot.
He was the heart of the story, really.
And like it was, I just kept thinking that whether or not he did it, like I know I've said it, but like he should be in prison anyway. And like I felt so sorry for the girl because like it's so sad what happened to her, and like the press, nobody cared about her. All they cared about was that she was pretty and lived in this brownstone. So they were making her this
Yep.
glorious victim,
But that's
which is
what
how the press does
That's
it.
what the media does. It's like, hey, this could be you. This is a story. It's just to sell.
Yeah,
sell a
but then
newspaper.
I mean, like also she was very messed up because she's voluntarily getting stabbed in the hand. So the whole thing was just weird.
And on that note, we are home. So let's wrap it up. Go watch that.
No, I think.
No,
At this
go watch
point,
that.
anyone who's listened to this has watched it.
Oh, that's true. Okay. Well, thanks for listening.
And let us know what you think about us doing a TV review. It certainly
Yes.
got us off the couch.
If you liked this, maybe we could do more of this. I'm not sure what we would call it though. It doesn't work as this. The whole concept of this show is that we're walking home from the cinema, and it's a mile. We have to call.
We just walked around our local park.
So we
from
call
our
it
house.
the telly park.
Telly
Park
doesn't
Vision?
work. I think
There's no way we could spin this.
this is just a special case.
This is a bonus episode.
because we were supposed to be doing Sausage Factory, and as we discussed earlier, didn't happen.
Sausage Party.
What did I say?
Sausage Factory
Oh.
is probably a documentary about the meat industry.
I mean, I think,
which nobody wants to watch because it'll turn us off sausages for life.
and also, I don't want to sound more critical than the Night Of than I am, because I loved it's the best TV show I've watched in ages. I'm just critical of the main character and like the actions of some characters, but that makes the show interesting because we kept pausing it to like fight about it and talk about it and analyse it.
And we just talked about it for about a half an hour.
Yeah, even though we were like, we have nothing left to say. We certainly talked about it because it's 8 episodes. I was thinking, oh, how will we talk about it in the podcast? Because we're used to just analysing one thing. But I guess it's like one big
It's just
piece.
like one big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got a lot to talk about, a lot of material to cover. Which is why we did an extra long episode. Oh, we're in the dark.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.